Sy's vieslik, delete net. Sy bel weer, ek vra wie's dit? Sy sê is ek sê oh, en ek delete weer. Wie was daar toe die ou gecheap het? Wie was daar wat die kind support het? Ek was die een wat gesê het los maar net. Was die een wat gesê het kos gaan net. Delete, 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 kos gaan net. Delete, 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 delete.
Clearly Neville is feeling this one. It's Sunny Boy featuring Mr. Bambusian with Deleted.
It's actually deleted. Het jy gehoor, Maria? It will not work anymore. Deleted. Deleted. Deleted.
More guys, more.
Yeah.
Morning.
More. Yeah.
How was the weekend, Maria?
Fruitful.
Maria, we on air.
Fruitful.
Yeah, we on air.
No, I can hear you.
No, you can hear us.
You guys know I'm consuming this Luanda leeks, not Luanda rots, please. if you leave it to Namibians, they'll call it Luanda. Rot.
Or Lota.
All right, let's start with Friday. Friday, of course, Neville had some other engagements. But the team was, like I did say, a bit scattered on Friday with the case in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Which, of course, we had to cover for you guys. And, other commitments from Dr. Neville. Maria and I were here, but...
He didn't want me in studio. So
I don't trust myself alone with her in a room.
Take that. Thank you. Now we finally know what you've been harboring for the last 6 months.
What?
I don't know.
Please, Cuba's wife. I hope she comes on now.
Please.
Listen, this has got nothing to do with Cuba's wife. Okay.
Ek soek.
Nee, is nie haar besigheid nie.
Don't bring my goldfish into this, please.
Yeah. Yeah, just apologies to our viewers and our listeners that we couldn't go live on Friday. Because the case in the Supreme Court.
We had to cover that. Actually, we are going to talk about that a little bit this morning. But I want us to start somewhere else. There was something that you have been quite passionate about since last week that you wanted us to touch on of the Namibian expats.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen this. There was a story last week of a Namibian truck driver who lives in Canada, and it's a story that one of the dailies were running last week.
We ran it as well.
Say again.
We ran it as well at
Okay.
Informanté.
Yeah. So he died in a car accident in Canada. Now, this is not the first case of its kind where you hear Namibian expats pass away. And it always seems like, the family has trouble in repatriating their remains back to Namibia. This is not the first case of Canada that we hear about. And there's been a few, I believe, in London. You also talked about a situation, an incident in
Kenya. I don't know how credible that is. I don't really want to say I doubt the fam, but I did see the post. I think via WhatsApp they sent the picture and then the caption of this guy who they say died in a car accident in Kenya, and the family is also looking for help to repatriate the remains.
It's just, Maria, that it's kind of alarming how many of these incidents that we do see in the media.
There aren't actually that many, let's just be clear.
No,
They
of
pop
course.
up here and there, but you're making it seem like we have one every month. We don't. We have one a year, if at all even. It's actually not that common. But also, what's up with Hereros in Canada?
Yeah, we go there because London and New York is full now.
Yeah.
There's established reservoirs there, so we moved to Canada now. Yeah. So I know Ivy. I don't know how they left the door open for Ivy to go to America, because Ivy is now in Atlanta. I believe she's in Atlanta. She went to Atlanta. Okay.
Oh, nice.
But the question is, I guess maybe to the Namibian expats out there, are they making provision as they do travel from here to this foreign lands in terms of insurance?
But something that does come to mind. You remember the case of Mr. Black from Zimbabwe?
Oh yeah.
Where the family also had issues to
Operation Kalari.
Yes, to sort of they couldn't afford to properly transport the body back to Zimbabwe. So I guess it's not a problem that is unique to Namibia, because most of these guys, when they do leave the country anyway, it's to go search for a better life. So I'm not sure a lot of them are in the position to actually get that 200,000 or whatever insurance in case something happens. Or I am not really sure how it works.
The last story that Informanté ran is that his wife she started a GoFundMe account to collect funds for him, and so that they can bury him here in the country. It's all very weird to me, I think.
Weird.
No, weird, because I know, if you ask why Zimbabweans come to Namibia, you understand, right? The situation here is better than home. If you ask me why Namibians are going to Canada, I don't necessarily understand it, because it's not like life on the other side becomes better. for them?
I think maybe opportunities are a bit more.
No, he was a truck driver.
Even a truck driving job in Namibia is not easy to get.
No, but I'm saying that the expenses and cost of living is high. Unless you're telling me it's just a benefit of the education for the children. But I've gone to visit a few Namibians abroad, and
the living conditions are not.
The living
always
conditions
proper.
aren't. It isn't what is sold to us. It's unfortunate. It's what I'm trying. I'm not saying this is the case. I didn't know this person personally, but a lot of times you come and you're like, you could just come back home and kind of just try and make it there. I don't know.
But then you also know, like, a lot of these guys are going there without any real qualifications. So I guess you can't really expect to be doing, I guess, office jobs or something. But probably doing what do they call it?
Blue collar
laborers. So the works that the Canadians do not want to do.
No.
I mean, that's why they encourage some of these people to immigrate to their countries.
But and it's good that you're mentioning this now, Maria. I remember in the late 90s when you started seeing this.
Olondona.
Hey, broer. They just, not an influx, but an outflux of Namibians, especially to England.
Yeah.
And there was so much glamour attached to this. Where when you speak to Namibians who live
in London.
Yeah, no, we are in London. And
London,
then
even the accent
and
changes.
you go to London. And then you go then you go to London to go and see where a lot of these guys stay and work. And you do ask yourself, boy, Yeruka, just come back home. What you're busy doing here at the moment, the glamour around, just the name where you stay compared to what the reality is really not what your parents are thinking. And that's why I have a cousin who stays there now for well over 25 years. And I had another cousin who used to stay there, and it was horrible. Just to go and see the living conditions these guys are living in.
You generally, to get affordable accommodation, you have to live like on the outskirts, and I'm talking about
Norwich.
outskirts, I'm talking about outskirts where you have to take 6+ trains.
Village jobs.
To get to the city, and it can take you up to like just very well 3 hours, just one way.
Yeah.
And then another 3 hours another way.
Yeah.
Hopping on from one train to the next underground, maneuvering. It's a very vibrant city. But then you come to this little box apartment on the outskirts. When I say outskirts, I need to say it's like outskirts of the outskirts because it's like really far.
Okanja Park hood.
Kanja is not nabe.
Okanja Park.
Kanja Park, all right.
Okanja Park is something different.
Yeah,
I'm
all
telling
right.
you. Yeah.
And you come back to this like really boxed apartment. Things are falling apart. The rent is ridiculous. But that's your life. But it's okay. You can say, I'm in London.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's just, is this really like the dream?
But I mean, I guess maybe for some, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. Maybe for some of them, like I said, it's better than to sit back home and do nothing.
Yeah.
Because
On the other hand,
assuming you'll do nothing. That's what I'm trying to say.
that's the situation most of them were in.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not like Ivy. Ivy literally left her job to go somewhere else.
That was
and
a
I
decision.
know, That's what I'm saying. And I know a lot of them that, I'd had this moment of I want to
just go.
To do, because you need to understand, because you still need funds. So it's not like people that are currently unemployed that have no prospects, because you need a flight ticket, you need to be able to make your way there, you need to be able to move for at least a month or two while and even just to secure a job. So it's not like people that are unemployed generally now. It's usually people that are already in the work stream, that just want, I think, a change, or they see an opportunity rather. They want to take on these opportunities, and they go online, they see little courses, or they see job opportunities, and see can they, given their resignations and whatever money they get, pension, whatever, purchase a ticket And go.
In the case of Ivy, I think it was a lot to do with her kids, but that's just me speculating.
There's always there's usually
but
reasons.
I think that was the reason why there were so many heteros who were leaving the country, especially when this immigration started. No,
we are tired because this Swapong government.
Because the money is always walking around in the bushes eating grass. Chicken was class. So go sell like 4 or 5 of them and then buy yourself a ticket and chip.
Like I said, my cousin, I remember in the late 90s, they went through the same thing. They Googled like 21, 22-year-old boys. They Googled and they decided, wow, let's just go and explore life for a while. And they went to go and work at a place, I think it's about 200 kilometers away from London. I think it's Norwich. And a lot of Namibians went to Norwich to go and work on farms.
I know one that was tending to pigs.
Exactly. So, and these guys, they say they had a ball of a time. And one of my cousins came back, but the other one, like I say, kept on staying there. But my question is just to them, if they do listen, is that, and maybe what we just want to urge, if, I don't know what insurance premiums are like in, these foreign countries, but maybe just to try and alleviate the burden on their Namibian families here. And maybe if you do travel to a country like that, you think that, stuff like this might never happen. But people can die at any given time. Just to secure yourself in terms of insurance, so that if something happens, and it's obviously a decision whether you decide if you want to get buried there or your remains.
Just cremate and bring the ashes and
it's even more expensive to cremate.
Not in those countries.
It's expensive.
It would be cheaper to cremate than to send the body.
Black people don't believe in cremation. You are going to burn my child.
My body.
Hey, let me check out 1 or 2 comments coming in slowly but surely. Eric Adriano Buchter, Happy New Year, let's work. Jacob Nieuwjaars terug weer toe.
I saw a poster saying you can stop saying Happy New Year now.
Yeah. Stefanus James Ananias, môre het sê waar was julle Vrydag?
Sorry man.
By die huis. Bradley Kobe sê môre lag that deleted song is the one. Sê vir Maria laat sy opstaan man, dis al oggendtyd.
Dankie.
Yes.
Sleep late. I'm not gonna lie.
Mara Maria is net iets anders ta. Kama he was still a truck driver. Quack, 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 quack.
No, it's not. No, I didn't mean it. No, I didn't mean it offensively. I just mean maybe here he could have been something else.
Nande Matundu say, but isn't it better than being in Katutura doing nothing? Like not even being able to afford to buy yourself soap. Most that do seek asylum get proper accommodation. The ones that do struggle are the illegal ones. And Bedi Kashiere, you earn more money as a truck driver there, so they can afford to take care of their families back home. Also, if you end up in a hospital in Canada, you are more likely to survive than if you end up in Katutura Hospital. I know a lot of people working there with those odd jobs, but they have managed to buy houses back in Namibia. So if you worked in Namibia, you still would have been without a house, considering our current situation.
That's true.
Most were grade 10 or 12 dropouts, unemployed, or if employed, barely making it. The smart ones have made and built homes for their families in the villages. And, buying cattle, it's a last resort, honestly. An African dream saying the British pound is now at 18. So it might be a good investment.
Yeah, but also you need to factor also then that the cost of living is also higher.
Cost of living is higher?
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Let's turn to the court case on Friday in front of the Supreme Court. I don't know if I should say the opposition, of course, bringing the case. Guys, I don't know how I feel about this whole thing. I watched I watched as much as I possibly could because
it was lengthy. I was also in and out. I mean, it's partly my job to follow, but I think they were just like.
I wasn't about to go sit there myself, Maria. When the court proceedings started, I believe at 10 o'clock, I was like, let me know what the verdict is.
The verdict wasn't gonna come the same day.
Yeah,
I know, but just.
So you have no information or knowledge on it. So why you wanna talk about it? It's even you who presented. So you basically just want us to opine so that you can step into. No,
I want to feed off it. You understand? You guys know these technicalities of what these lawyers and these technocrats are saying. So I believe like on the 6th of February we will know the
Supreme Court's ruling. What do you think of the premise of the case, though? You know, when they were talking about Tula taking the ECN or whatever to court, I thought this guy was going to rock up there with evidence of this discrepancy and that discrepancy. But it seemed like they premised their case more on the use of EVMs without the paper trail in general. And of course, they were hammering home, the fact that the minister did not have the authority to sort of, what is the word, to enforce voting machines without the paper trail.
All I'm just saying is that I don't know if I feel like going back to the polls after all of this.
If we were to go back to the polls, and that's a big if at the moment, remember, what's your opinion on that?
Actually, what I'm curious to know is if we were to go back to the polls, would you change your vote without saying who you voted for previously? Would you change your vote, or would you keep it the same? I would like to hear from our commentators.
Yes, from our listeners. Ooh, Ivy, look at you.
Oh, look at you. Look at you.
Yeah, so if we did have to go and vote again, guys, while the conversation goes on here in the studio, maybe you can let us know in the comment section. Are you going to go vote again? And are you going to change your vote, or would your vote stay the same?
Would you change your vote?
I made a mistake.
Oh, man. Okay, now this I would like to hear.
Story. I thought the presidential was the national.
I remember you telling us the story. Yes.
Please tell the story again. I think people forgot.
No, I went in the first box. I was like, I assumed it would be presidential. But I'm also now not seeing like, you see, when I didn't see, I was like, this is. Because they also put the party next to the party. They put the party flag next to them. So I was like, oh, okay, this is national. Druk. And I went to the second machine. Now I'm getting ready for the presidential. Ex-president.
Maria, you're such a sellout, you. You are a sellout. So you voted differently for the party?
No, I ended up voting the same.
Because Maria wants a rerun. She wants to correct her vote.
I need to correct that.
How about you, Neville? Would you change your vote?
No, I wouldn't change my vote.
You'd still vote exactly the same way?
Yeah, I would vote exactly the same.
You?
Okay. No, I would not change my vote.
No.
At all. What is interesting, though, would be how we would vote. It's like, would we use the machines again? Would there be a paper trail? Would we use ballots?
I think it would be too late.
Will it be a public holiday?
I mean, because if they're saying the first election is sort of invalid, for lack of a better word, because there was no paper trail, which the Constitution requires in case you are using the electronic voting machines. If we had to vote again, that means we would either have to have the paper trail, or we would have to vote with ballots.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's too late to get machines with ballots because there's a whole process of testing them. What. So it will most likely, if we were to go back to voting, it will probably be ballot. My thing is if you're going to do it ballot, you should. In any event, I believe election should be a 2-day event.
Yeah, not one day.
No, can't.
You're right.
You do it an injustice.
Just a disservice.
It's a disservice, and also not everybody can unfortunately get to the polls on one day.
But I think the whole premise behind making it one day and supposed to release the results the next day is to alleviate that suspicion.
But the suspicion is still there because they announced it 6-7 days later.
No, we're not talking about our ECN. Our ECN is a special case. I'm talking in general. You vote today, tomorrow the results are out.
But that doesn't happen, unfortunately. That's what I'm saying. It's just make it a 2-day event, and then if you want to release, you release after the second day. It's still the same thing, right? It's just you give people more time to make it to the polls. And we know some people didn't make it to the polls.
Yeah, last time.
Yeah.
2 days. 2 days.
Just to be 2 days with ballot.
Yeah. I am not entirely convinced though.
Just to be 2 days with ballot.
It used to. I know back then I didn't vote.
So you're also one of these anti-EVM advocates?
No, I feel like any system can work or can fail depending on how it's managed. Yeah. It's just about management.
It's like Maria pointed out last year. We also had issues with the ballots. That's why we moved to the EVMs in the first place. Yeah. Not that they are also without issue. But they were talking about the suppliers in a court at some point. I think. Where they say the ECN actually did go back to India to ask for a paper trail to be used along with our machines, and because I think India was also busy with the election or something or of the sort, and they were like, no, we can't do it for you this year.
Now. But even EVMs in India are an issue, so yeah. But
they say they were offered another one that does have a paper trail that has a 95% success rate.
95 is not good enough.
But
95 is better than...
Yeah, that 95%. And they didn't see it as a 95% success rate. They saw it as a 5% failure rate.
Yeah. Understandably. I mean, it's elections. It's a very sensitive thing.
But you're not going to get something that's going to give you 100% success rate. Especially with equipment, this technology. It's interesting, man.
But I just don't know, guys, and I think with a few people that I spoke to in the last week, with the run up to the court case on Friday morning, a lot of people are just battle weary when it comes to the elections. People just said, never, seriously, I don't know if I have the capacity, the energy to go and queue again and to go and vote. It's just been too much emotionally, the roller coaster that we all went through, and to go and do that same thing again, I'm really not up for it.
I think a rerun would be beneficial for the ruling party.
Do you think?
I actually think it's a disadvantage for them.
Because I doubt Exam no net afset.
Salam no afset.
Exam. I toch Samaria.
Summary. Yeah, we'll talk about summary.
It was just off for 5 minutes. Net 5. Is my probleem met gewig opgetel en sweetje.
Kost my toch wat.
No, I'm still skinny and sexy.
Okay, guys. What I was saying is, I don't think. For instance, Itula, who did so well in the last election, is going to be able to galvanize those, that support base, like he did last year. I don't think they're going to be as energized to go and stand in those long lines for a second time. I don't
think he needs to. I think ultimately what it will be a vote against SWAPO or a vote against Hage, because. And this is where anybody in the opposition stands a better chance, because I sincerely believe, especially after the elections, a lot of the things that have emerged have put off a lot of people. I mean, I've had conversations that were even people that voted ruling party that were acted like they didn't kind of know there was an implication. Even because even that Al Jazeera thing came out after election.
Yeah.
And even Neville, didn't you also say never mind.
What?
Jy toch gesê, ja, ek weet nie of ek so.
Hey Maria Gio, what stories?
Speaking of Neville, I forgot your gift at home. Like yesterday, I'm sitting. So my wife did laundry, right? And I'm sitting outside in my backyard smoking a cigarette. And I look up and there's a SWAPO flag hanging on my line. Masakin Nari. And I was like, this I'm going to go give to Neville. I just forgot it. Some feel more.
You keep on deciding that what I voted for.
I'm not saying you voted for SWAPO. I'm just saying you are.
The paycheck must.
Yeah, taste must.
You gotta stay loyal to
that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people have been put off by certain, even with the Kalahari and the silence of the. It's just a lot.
Yeah,
I think
there
at
is
this
a lot
point,
that has been happening.
not necessarily. I don't look. I've said it on record. I don't necessarily think Itula is a better candidate. I don't. I'll go on record and say it because it's my opinion, and you don't have to agree with it. I don't think he will necessarily be a better president. But I think in the eyes of the electorate right now, it wouldn't matter. There's a lot of discontent, and that's why I think he doesn't need to be energized. People are kind of put off by the current administration.
Interesting. I saw one of the headlines on the front page of one of the dailies. There seemed to be the opinion that a rerun of the elections would sort of cause disruption, which I do not really agree with.
Disruption in what sense? What do they mean?
I don't know. So
we get an extra day off at work, so it's the only disruption.
If there is the disruption that they talk about, it's okay.
Then we welcome it, yes.
But there's not going to be any economic disruption, political.
We're not going to war. Let's be clear.
Yeah,
I don't. They need to stop that.
Yeah, no, that is.
But I don't think. Just to be clear, I don't really think we're going to go back to the
polls.
To the polls.
It's not going to happen.
How do you think this is going to end? But then also look. I think it was the Chief Justice who was sustaining the argument that the minister was not within his powers to take the decision that he did, which is sort of the premise of the entire case of Itula against the elections and the use of the EVM. So I'm actually quite anxious to see where this one lands.
It'll be interesting. It will definitely be. It will be groundbreaking either way. It is a Supreme Court. So yeah, that's.
But I don't see any ruling for the opposition.
Either. But maybe that's just me being pessimist.
It's just my humble opinion. I have no inside information. As a belief,
okay, let me probe you a little bit. Why don't you see a ruling for the opposition?
No, I think the case here seems very 50-50 at the moment as to which way the judiciary would sway. I think if they would have to sit there and flip a coin and decide as to...
No, you don't flip a coin.
I was about to say, you don't flip a coin in the Supreme. Okay, heads or tail, guys.
This is our constitutional court, the highest court in the land, guys.
I'm obviously just throwing it out there, as flipping a coin. But to be honest, if they would have to take a decision here... it's going to be a bold decision for them to go against. It is
the Supreme Court. It's not up to one judge.
Yeah.
The panel, yeah.
Yeah. As Cubase has rightly said, it's the highest.
Yeah.
In the country. So after that, you don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's your final chance.
Yeah.
But obviously there has to be general consensus. And you don't really know in what mind people. I mean, I was listening to some of the arguments of those on the panel, and you seem some that kind of made it clear that this was unacceptable. And then some where the probing didn't really give you an idea of what direction this could take.
Yeah.
So it's anyone's game. I think at this point it's not really clear. I think there were solid arguments on both sides. But yeah, look, Supreme Court's always unpredictable. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
It's the most unpredictable place to go. It's not really like I think High Court is easier to kind of see attitudes, but Supreme Court ish. That means it's gevaarlijk.
All right, I see you guys are not commenting so much this morning. But before we get to the comments, since Maria has brought up the High Court and, of course, the Supreme Court, maybe we can... I just want to gauge your opinion on HH. Hanse Himarwa, not Hidipa. Who has decided to appeal her sentencing at the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
How's Katrina besleet? It's not going to go down like that. Not today.
Yeah, she's appealing her conviction.
Yeah, what do you think, Maria?
Okay, I know there's a lot of questions saying, oh yeah, but she didn't do time. It was suspended. Why would she appeal a conviction where she didn't do jail time? But here's the thing. It's like, you don't want that on your record. A conviction is on your record forever. Forever. Convicted. On your CV, on your record.
Yes.
When you travel. It's your name.
Convicted of corruption.
Convicted of corruption. You can't. It's that blob that you just will never get rid of. So she's obviously fighting that.
And also, it's January. She wants her 50,000 back.
I think my only I think when I saw it, I think my initial response was like, Ma, you were saying JT healthy, now you're going to South Africa to get a lawyer.
Exactly.
Periru.
Like that was largely her argument. After she was found guilty, that she can't pay her lawyers, she's a heavy debt, she needs to whatever, and she goes and gets an expensive South African lawyer. It's like, can you just be take us seriously? Take us seriously.
Phew. I was like, when I saw that last week, I was like, OC. Lost toch, man. Just let it go away. 2020.
I think it's going to haunt her if she does go to the Supreme Court.
And you never know. They could actually make it more harsh.
Yes.
Like how?
That's exactly what I mean.
Can she be jailed?
Yes. They can decide
They can change. Like the High Court actually was very lenient on you. Yeah. You deserve jail time.
Somebody in the law fraternity told me on Friday that let's say because she got a $50,000 fine or
6 months suspended.
6 months suspended sentence. What they say, the only thing that can happen here is that they can elevate her fine to say 200,000 and elevate her suspended sentence to say 24 months. It needs to go on par like that, but not she can then go to jail.
But most people don't understand what a suspended sentence means. And this is what I'm trying to say. It can still be jail time.
Okay.
So suspended means that in that time, if you are, like there's a case against you and you are found guilty, you will go to jail.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's not like there isn't a case looming against Katrina. And maybe it's gonna come out soon, maybe it's not. But I know there's something looming. So
there's something.
I said
looming.
Looming, yeah, looming, yeah.
Yes, there were other cases being investigated. Even the time that one was in the courts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
So it's a very like a 6 months suspended. I think it's cool. Like, May is clear. You know what I mean? Exactly. If the Supreme Court, like, let's say, makes it a 2-year suspended sentence, that's
means for the next 2 years we don't even want to catch you speeding. Yeah. Then you go to jail. Go straight to jail. Yeah. Do not pass begin. Do not collect $200. All right. Let's check out some comments. Martin M. Utoni, as far as changing his vote, saying Viva Swapo as always. The Patriots. I love them. Bradley Kubisep, our prayers are with you. To Mutatio. Yeah, Mutatio was talking about guys, I also left the country. You are scaring me.
Where are you? Where is he?
I think last week you mentioned he's in South Africa, if I'm not mistaken.
That's home.
That is, you put your body on those, what is die basicus?
Ja, Bailey's transport.
Wat altyd skree, Wynberg.
Wynberg.
You put...
But Bailey's transport is there. They can, repatriate your body back to them.
Maybe the Intercape people will also be polite enough to let.
Speaking of Mutatio, he says, I will vote over here and go home and vote again. How about that? Depends on who you're voting for. Bradley, thank you, Omes. Paulus Ndapewa saying, hi guys, Shucks, Tiofe, Nanyemba. Supreme Court English is not good for my health at all. They were speaking English in high level.
Yeah.
Yo. Okay, Bradley.
That's why I didn't watch.
Yo, the Supreme Court is not a joke. The way the lawyers were cornered at times with questions was very intense. To a point, the state respondent was laughing all the while. I laugh out loud. Good morning, Alfredo, Mr. Evangelista. Welcome to the show, Robert Gidipo. Morning, guys. You guys always make my morning. I'm always energized listening to you guys. Hope you start a YouTube live program. Also, what do you guys think about the EVMs in terms of how they function? It's broken calculators.
I'm not qualified to.
Yeah.
I just have a question. I just have a question. I know this question has come up in lots of groups and on a lot of social media, but it's still a question. So now we have an independent candidate that won in Walfish Bay Urban. Everybody's celebrating. With the win was with the use of EVMs.
EVMs, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's celebrating. The same people that celebrate that win are on Friday in the Supreme Court, sitting with Dr. Itula and co. What are we saying? Is the use of EVMs do we only dispute the results when they're not in our favor?
No, I think, like I was saying, the premise of the case in the courts is that the use of EVMs without a paper trail is unconstitutional, because our constitution says if you're going to use the EVMs, there has to be a paper trail. Not there can be, or maybe you can use if you want. It says there has to be. You cannot use the EVMs without the paper trail.
Yeah, but a lot of people also, the premise around this is that they don't believe that the results were legit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, that is the undertone to everything.
Yes, of course. Even like I said, they changed their tone. Itula and co. They changed their tone in the Supreme Court. But initially, when they presented it to us, and initially even when because they had ordered the ECN to give over all these documents because they wanted to do a proper recount for themselves, and they wanted those records.
Yes.
So clearly they're disputing the results.
Of course.
He's gone on record and said he's not convinced that he lost. So we know that there's a dispute of the results. Now I'm saying, if we are celebrating the results, we're independent candidate who is also an Itula supporter, if I'm not mistaken. Same from the same crop.
Knowledge is he was part of the team campaign.
Yes. If we are saying that, then is it fair that Knowledge won fair and square?
That's a good question.
But look, I feel like Itula was sort of caught between a rock and a hard place with this Supreme Court case, especially since he has still tied himself to the party, for better or for worse. It is still his party, the Swapo Party. So if you go to the courts and go make all this hoopla about basically the party cheating in the elections, which is also your party, by the way, even though you ran against them as an independent candidate, it's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. So I guess they also had to find some other way to bring the case to the Supreme Court without directly implicating his party.
I don't think he cares.
All I know is,
I think he does.
All I know is that Swapo has a lot of internal work to do at the moment to sort of salvage the rift that seems to be there within the party, because it just seems to be like the party is completely fragmented at the moment. There are just way too many camps, or not too many camps, but there are at least 2 camps within the party at the moment.
They always did say the only party to be able to beat SWAPO is going to be SWAPO. Yeah, but checking out some more comments. Jeremiah Antonello Ngiwanwa. How can we comment the English of the Supreme Court? It's from Pluto. Mutatio is saying, Cubase, that punch was way below the belt. Wait, who did I hit below the belt? I'm sorry. Don J, good morning. Welcome to the show, my guy. Vedi Kayere. The condition of her appeal is that she can appeal her conviction, but she cannot appeal the conviction of or the fine of 2,000 or 50,000. Okay, I'm not sure I'm following your
I don't understand
back here. Anyway, Nakale Gertrude, eat more and rack fat. Are you talking about Neville? Guys, please don't make fun of Neville's Kapunda.
No, I think it's talking. I said I'm cold. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it's me.
More and rack fit. Yeah.
Also, don't make fun of Maria's, not Kapunda.
That's body shaming.
Semi-fly. Yes.
Oh,
no.
Malachne.
Yes, the win was with the EVMs, but we don't experience 2 hours country power outage like on the 27th of November. I guess they did say they were isolated incidents. Neville, send me some 50,000 cows for Lobola
Elotse.
for your nieces here in Canada. They will get married to Canadians. Toivo Kabapilo, good morning, crew. In my opinion, the Supreme Court will give a ruling for the opposition in order to uphold the Constitution and the rule of law. Otherwise, it will set a precedent for laws to be partially implemented. I am a bit skeptical about the remedy, whether it will be a clear-cut rerun, but may it be that there is a rerun. It might tilt more to the IC, as it will, vindicate the public suspicions on the irregularities, but I still feel this time the winner of the presidential election results will be marginal. Don J. Mwandi, Free Sharky, and the gang. I don't know how we are benefiting from their arrest.
Sharky and the gang.
How will we benefit from their release? One day, Stephen Haindongo. One day is actually his name. That's not just how I decided to start that sentence.
Oh, okay. Okay.
One day.
All right, we didn't hear irregularities in Walfish Bay's election like the one of November 2019.
I think this is right up the alley as to what you were asking.
That how, if you're going to accept some of the results with the EVMs, then I think all of them should be acceptable, or if you're not going to accept some, then none of them should be acceptable. That is Maria's argument, I believe.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, are we saying that they're only unacceptable when the ruling party wins and they're acceptable when anybody else? That's kind of more of what I'm actually posing a question.
So when it favors, I mean, in the case of the complainants, if it favors us, we're okay with it. But if it doesn't, then we have an issue.
Yeah.
Ish, it's a tough one. Clorita Nelly Houses. Good morning, guys. How's the Blue Monday?
Blue.
We had
Kijk vir
drought,
Maria.
but had received rain.
It's how blue.
Did we get enough rain, guys?
No, far from enough rain.
Yeah.
Far. I believe most of our dams are at a capacity about 15% at the moment, and the rainy season is supposed to be starting now.
Well, 50% is more than we've
15.
had. 15. 1-5.
1-5.
Ish.
Yeah,
That's because never mind.
it's bad.
No, I'm just saying Namibians now. This country will depress you It's like we have drought. You would think they would build infrastructure so that when it rains, we can harvest that rainwater. Nah. So it's chill.
No, where's the money to build the infrastructure? We built Nekatal Dam. Then you complain some of us getting tenders. What is the story?
Is
that dam ook klaar?
Yeah, no, the dam is done, but...
is it holding water at the moment?
The problem, what happened is that they wanted to channel water from the Hartap Dam to the Neckartal Dam. Obviously for the reason that you talk about. Most of the water that went from Hartap Dam down the channel evaporated. Completely lost. So...
Hey, but wasn't it going to evaporate in the dam anyway?
The dam was now supposed to, I think, how the dam was constructed was supposed to hold the water.
Yeah, but
like the water didn't make it to the dam. And we don't...
what is
Neckartal Dam. Okay? And we don't have the capacity at the moment as to go find this water that evaporated somewhere along.
Where are you going to go find it, Never? Even if you had the capacity, where were you going to go find that water?
Exactly. I don't know where it is.
You can
but
evaporated water you can. It's infrastructure in the air to
but I always thought
collect the viper.
Especially the canals would have been more useful up north especially where we suffer with flooding during some parts of the year.
That's what I'm trying to say.
To sort of channel all that water into one place that we can then use for the rest of the year, especially in situations where there are droughts and stuff.
Yeah, and I say this, nothing exposes poor town planning, especially up north, like rainy season.
Yeah, ne?
That's when you're like, yeah, okay, Oshakati, yeah, this is your sub. I'm talking about you. This is when you see the poor planning in Oshakati.
Ne?
It's just places, new complexes are completely flooded. New complexes. It shouldn't be happening. Like, I would understand if it seems like the infrastructure from the apartheid era that's not getting flooded. But the new one.
Die land is het geken. Ja, gaan boot daar zo. Hier zo die water kom aan.
Vloei zo en fuck, niet icon.
Oh man.
Okay, bye. Bye. Reach your final comments.
Neville, this question is for you. Is Meme Sophia around Ano? We haven't.
We have the money. We have all the money.
Did you guys listen? There was a clip of her that was being circulated. I was listening to it this morning on Eagle FM.
Okay.
Yeah, she was making a speech, but she was speaking in Shivamba, so they had to translate it. But she was just talking to the party members about how there's people like trying to cause division within the party, and if you're not happy, if it was her house, she would ask you to leave if you're not happy, but it's not her house. So she understands, she hears them, and it was just a conversation saying that they need to get together. I think there were also talks about if we're not wary, if we don't take extra care and caution that there could be like looming war. We should protect Namibia and then the party, and it was one of those kind of speeches, but it's being circulated on WhatsApp groups.
Yeah, war is the last thing that we need in this country. Sometimes
we stop threatening it. It's not like it's looming.
Yeah, but we
Who has the power to start a war in this country? The ruling party.
You start a war with who?
I'm saying a civil war.
But they are the only ones with guns. Who are
That's what I'm saying. They're the only people with the power to start war.
Yeah.
So, but they're also the ones that keep telling us, "Oh, be careful. If we're not careful, there will be war." So, is that a threat or a warning? Like, I never know.
Is it a threat or a warning?
Be careful of the civil war. Okay.
No, guys, the civil war is not coming. It's not coming. Let's just sort it out like, the civilized nation that we are in a democratic manner. That is the system we chose to go with at independence. Democracy.
Thank you.
So let's practice that. Anyway, it's always nice being in the morning here with you. By the way, Neville, kry ons nog vir
it's the plan.
For Mr.
It's the plan
for this week.
Yeah, we are hard at work at the moment behind the scenes to get Major General Ndetunga in the studio this week. But obviously through the course of the week we will just inform our listeners as to what the progress is. But we would love to have him in the studio.
Because Tate Fabian wanted to join us this morning.
Tate Fabian.
That's
City
okay.
Police.
That's okay, Maria.
Oh, yeah, no, it's all right.
Okay. I guess he's going to join us again next week, Monday.
Yes.
Maria, I am a trained plane fighter. I'm done. Okay, let's go, guys. Ondamona.
World, but not as you know it.